There is a strange irony in life. The very people who stand by us in silence, who love us without conditions, who offer us their time and energy without demanding anything in return, are often the ones we fail to see clearly. We chase after admiration from strangers, we fight for the approval of society, we bend ourselves to fit into molds created by others, and yet, the hearts that beat for us with sincerity are sometimes pushed aside. To ignore the ones who truly care about us is one of the deepest mistakes a person can make, and it is a mistake many only realize when the opportunity to correct it has slipped away forever. Think about it for a moment. Imagine achieving every dream you have ever desired, the recognition, the wealth, the success, the applause. You stand on a stage, people shouting your name, the world looking at you with admiration. But when the lights dim, when the noise disappears, and you step off that stage, who is there waiting for you? Not the crowd, not the strangers. It is always the ones who truly care, the ones who never needed a reason to stand by your side. If you ignore them, you may win the world but lose the only people who make that world worth living in. Every relationship we have in life is like a seed. Some seeds we plant in shallow soil, and they sprout quickly but wither away with the first wind. Others we plant deep, nurture with attention, and they grow into strong trees that shelter us for years. Those who truly care about us are like those deep-rooted trees. They don't sway with convenience, they don't walk away with difficulty, and they don't love us because of what we give them. They love us because of who we are when no one is watching. Yet, many times, we forget to water these trees. We forget to say thank you. We forget to show up for them the way they have shown up for us. What makes this even more tragic is that life is fleeting. Time does not wait for us to realize what matters. One day, we look up from our busyness and realize the people who once called to check on us without reason no longer call. The people who waited for us at our lowest moments no longer wait. Sometimes they have walked away, tired of being ignored, and sometimes life itself has taken them away from us. In both cases, the regret is heavy, because love unappreciated becomes love lost, and nothing haunts the human heart more than the memory of someone who cared deeply, but was never truly acknowledged. We live in an age where distraction is everywhere. Phones buzz with notifications, careers demand more hours, and social media offers us a constant stream of validation from people who don't even know our real selves. It is easy to let these distractions consume us, but here is the truth. None of it is real compared to the steady hand of someone who loves you enough to walk with you in silence, to see your flaws and still choose to stay. That is rare, that is precious, and that should never be ignored. Consider this, when storms come, and they will, the world outside does not care. Your achievements will not shield you, your followers will not lift you, your possessions will not comfort you. Only those who genuinely care will hold the umbrella over your head, even if they are soaking wet themselves. Only those who truly love you will offer their strength when you feel like collapsing. If you fail to value them now, you risk finding yourself alone in your darkest hour, wishing you had said one more thank you, shared one more moment, made one more effort. Love is not loud. Care is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is as simple as someone checking in when you don't post for a while, someone remembering how you like your coffee, someone listening to the same story they've heard 100 times just because it matters to you. These small gestures may not seem significant compared to the grand goals we chase, but in reality, they are priceless. The true measure of a person's wealth is not what sits in their bank account, but the number of people who would sit by their bedside without being asked if they were ill. Too often, we believe the lie that the people who truly care will always be there. We assume their patience is infinite, their loyalty unshakable. We take their presence for granted, thinking they will keep loving us no matter how little attention we give back. But love, even the purest form of it, needs acknowledgement, it needs nourishment. A flower, no matter how beautiful, will eventually wilt if it is never watered. In the same way, the hearts that care for us can eventually grow weary if ignored for too long. The saddest part is that many realize the depth of someone's care only in absence. Funerals are filled with tears, not just because someone is gone, but because of words left unsaid, gratitude left unexpressed, and love left unshared. Why do we wait until it's too late to say, I value you, I appreciate you, I love you? Why do we let pride, busyness, or distraction keep us from honoring the very people who give our lives meaning? Regret is a heavy burden, and it is almost always tied to relationships, not to missed business deals or failed ambitions, but to ignored care and unspoken affection. There is a power in acknowledging the people who care for you while they are still here. It doesn't take grand gestures. It doesn't take expensive gifts. Sometimes all it takes is your time. Sometimes it is as simple as putting the phone down and truly listening. Sometimes it is remembering to ask them about their day instead of always talking about yours. These are small acts, but they carry a weight that strengthens bonds and reminds those who care that their love is not invisible. Life becomes more meaningful when we stop chasing validation from those who don't matter and start cherishing the love from those who do. Think about how much energy is wasted trying to prove ourselves to people who would forget us tomorrow. Meanwhile, the ones who never need proof, the ones who accept us as we are often left waiting in the shadows. Why do we pour ourselves into temporary approval instead of eternal love? It is because we confuse noise with value, attention with affection, and applause with care. But deep down we know the truth. When the stage is empty and the lights go out, the only thing that keeps us warm is the love of those who truly care. There is no success that can replace this. You can build empires, win awards, and become a name the world remembers. But if you come home to loneliness, all of it feels hollow. True success is not in what the world says about you, but in whether you have loved and been loved by the people who matter. Never ignore them, because they are the only ones who will stand by you when the applause dies. It takes humility to value those who care. It means admitting that we are not self-sufficient, that we need others, that our lives are richer not because of what we achieve, but because of who we share those achievements with. Pride tells us we don't need anyone. Ambition tells us we don't have time. But wisdom whispers that life is nothing without connection. And those who truly care are the deepest connections we will ever have. If you want to know how much someone values you, look at how they treat you when they have nothing to gain. If they show up for you without reason, if they stand with you in your lowest seasons, if they celebrate your small victories, then you are looking at real love. The question is, will you honor it or will you ignore it? There are countless stories of people who realized too late what they had. The parent who never heard their child say thank you. The friend who always listened but never felt heard. The partner who loved deeply but never received appreciation in return. And when these people are gone, their absence feels like a silence that never ends. The lesson is not to wait for absence to teach you presence. The lesson is to act now, to value now, to love now. So ask yourself today, who in your life truly cares? Who are the people that make sacrifices quietly, that hold you up when you stumble, that give you strength without asking for anything back? Once you know, don't ignore them. Call them, thank them, sit with them, love them. Because at the end of it all, these people are not just part of your story. They are the reason your story has meaning. Life has a way of teaching us its most powerful lessons not through comfort, but through contrast. It is not in the easy days that we grow, but in the seasons when we are broken open, when joy and sorrow collide, when love and loss weave themselves into the fabric of our story. To understand love in its truest form, one must also understand loss, because they are inseparably connected. The depth to which we can love is the depth to which we are capable of grieving when that love is taken from us. And the depth to which we grieve is the measure of how deeply we were blessed to love in the first place. From the moment we are born, we begin forming attachments. A child clings to the warmth of a mother, a friend clings to the loyalty of another, a partner clings to the bond of companionship. Love is the invisible thread that ties us together, giving us meaning, purpose, and strength. It is the fire that lights the coldest nights, the shelter that shields us from life's harsh storms, and the compass that points us back to what truly matters when we wander too far. Yet, as comforting as love is, it carries within it an unspoken truth. Every bond we form will one day be tested by loss, whether through distance, betrayal, or the finality of death. This reality is unavoidable. No matter how tightly we hold on, life will eventually remind us that nothing in this world is permanent. At first, this truth feels cruel, as if the universe is taking from us the very things that give us joy. But in time, we begin to realize that the presence of loss is what makes love sacred. The fact that love is fragile, the fact that it cannot be guaranteed forever, is what makes every shared moment so precious. If everything lasted forever, we would not value it. If we never feared loss, we would never learn to truly cherish love. Think back to a moment when you lost someone or something you loved. The ache in your chest, the silence that felt unbearable, the questions that went unanswered. In those moments, life feels merciless. We ask ourselves why love was given if it was only meant to be taken away. We question whether it would have been easier never to have loved at all. But with time, the pain of loss begins to shape us in ways we could never have imagined. It teaches us humility, reminding us of our fragility. It teaches us gratitude, reminding us not to waste the moments we are given. And it teaches us resilience, reminding us that though our hearts may shatter, we have the strength to rebuild. Love is the sweetness of life, but loss is the seasoning that gives depth to our understanding of it. Without loss, love would be shallow. Without love, loss would be meaningless. Together, they carve wisdom into the human soul. When we lose someone we love, the hole left behind never truly closes. But that space becomes a well of compassion, allowing us to understand the pain of others, to walk gently with those who are grieving, and to live with more kindness than before. In this way, loss does not just take, it gives. It gives us perspective, it gives us empathy, it gives us a sharpened awareness of what is truly important. One of the hardest truths about life is that we cannot control who stays and who goes. We can give our best, we can love deeply, we can fight to hold on, and still life may remove someone from our path. But while we cannot control the inevitability of loss, we can control how we choose to live in the space between love and loss. Do we love half-heartedly out of fear of losing, or do we love fully, knowing that loss is not the end of love but simply the reminder that it ever existed? To love while knowing we may lose is the bravest act of all. Many people spend their lives trying to avoid pain. They shield themselves from vulnerability, they keep others at a distance, they harden their hearts so they will not be broken. But in doing so, they also shield themselves from joy. You cannot numb pain without also numbing love. You cannot build walls so high that loss cannot reach you, without also keeping out the very love that makes life meaningful. To embrace love is to accept the risk of loss, and to endure loss is to discover the depth of love's impact on your soul. Loss comes in many forms. Sometimes it is the death of a loved one. Sometimes it is the end of a friendship. Sometimes it is the fading of a dream you once held dear. Each form of loss cuts differently, but each leaves a scar that tells a story. And in every scar, there is not just pain, but proof that you lived, that you cared, that you dared to love something enough for its absence to matter. The alternative is a life untouched by either love or loss, a life safe, perhaps, but empty. What makes loss so transformative is that it strips away the illusions we often live under. When you lose someone you love, you stop caring so much about petty arguments, about superficial judgments, about material possessions. You begin to see clearly that life is not about how long you have, but about how well you spend the time you are given. You begin to value conversations, laughter, shared meals, and even the quiet presence of someone sitting beside you. Love teaches you to live, but loss teaches you what is worth living for. It is also important to understand that loss is not simply an ending. It is also a beginning. Every time we lose, we are forced to recreate ourselves. We learn to carry memories differently. We learn to stand on our own when once we leaned on another. We learn to build new chapters, even when the old ones remain unfinished. In this way, loss is not just the closing of a door, but also the opening of a new one that may lead us toward deeper strength, unexpected love, or a greater appreciation of life itself. Still, it is not easy. Grief is not something that can be rushed or reasoned away. It comes in waves, sometimes overwhelming, sometimes subtle, but always present. And yet, grief is not a sign of weakness. It is the price of love. If you grieve deeply, it is only because you loved deeply. And while loss changes the shape of your love, it does not erase it. Love does not end when a person leaves your life. It transforms. It becomes memory, it becomes gratitude, it becomes a part of who you are. In this way, even loss cannot destroy love. It can only reshape it. There will be times when you wonder why life allows us to love if loss is inevitable. The answer is that love is the only thing strong enough to outlast loss. People may leave, but the love they gave remains. It lingers in your habits, in your choices, in your way of seeing the world. It echoes in the lessons they taught you, in the laughter you shared, in the moments that changed you. Love is never wasted, because it leaves an imprint that time and distance cannot erase. The unavoidable reality of love and loss is not meant to discourage us, but to awaken us. It is meant to remind us that every embrace might be the last, that every goodbye might carry more weight than we realize, that every chance to love should be seized without hesitation. Too often we act as though we have unlimited tomorrows, but loss teaches us that tomorrow is never promised. The only guarantee we have is today, and so we must love today, forgive today, appreciate today. Waiting until later is a dangerous gamble, because later is not guaranteed. The wisest people are those who live with this awareness. They laugh freely because they know sorrow will come. They love fully because they know loss is inevitable. They forgive quickly because they know time is short. They cherish small moments because they understand those moments will one day become the memories that sustain them. Instead of fearing loss, they let the reality of it guide them toward deeper, more intentional living. There is beauty even in the pain of loss. It connects us to the shared humanity of everyone around us. No matter where you are from, no matter what you believe, every person knows the sting of losing someone they love. It is a universal language, one that bridges divides and reminds us of our common fragility. In that shared vulnerability, we find unity. We realize that though loss is inevitable, love makes it bearable, and together we can carry grief in ways we never could alone. When you think of the people you love most, let the reality of loss inspire you, not frighten you. Let it inspire you to speak your heart while you still can, to mend broken relationships while there is still time, to give your best to the ones who matter most. Let it remind you that love is the only thing you can give that truly lasts beyond this life. Love and loss are not opposites. They are partners in shaping who we become. One gives us joy, the other gives us wisdom. One fills us with light, the other deepens our shadows. Together they create the balance that makes us whole. To run from one is to weaken the other. To embrace both is to live fully, to love courageously, and to leave behind a legacy that echoes long after we are gone. There comes a moment in every life when the noise fades, when the world's applause grows silent, and when the things we once chased with so much energy no longer hold the power they once did. In that stillness, we are confronted with a question that no title, no fortune, no recognition can answer. What was it all for? We spend so much of our lives striving for more money, more power, more success, more acknowledgement. And yet, when the curtain begins to fall, it is not those things that bring comfort. It is not the bank balance, the medals, the properties, or the headlines. What truly matters, the real wealth of life, is found in the people who love us, in the moments we share, in the connections we build, and in the hearts we touch along the way. If you think about it honestly, most of what we call success is borrowed. Money can disappear in an instant. Titles are given and taken away. Fame is fickle. It may place you on a pedestal today and forget your name tomorrow. But the wealth of love, of genuine care, of kindness extended and received, that remains. That is the only treasure you carry with you when everything else slips away. And yet, this truth is so often overlooked because the glitter of material wealth blinds us to the quiet glow of what really matters. Ask yourself at the very end of your life, who will sit by your side. It won't be the audience that clapped for you. It won't be the people who admired you from afar. It won't be those who envied your success. It will be the ones who walked with you through your failures, the ones who celebrated victories not because of what they gained, but because they were happy for you, the ones who held you when you were broken and reminded you that you were never alone. Those are the people who define your real wealth, and yet too many people realize this only when it's too late, when the chase for material wealth has left them rich in possessions but poor in relationships. The tragedy of our modern world is that we have confused the price of things with their value. We know the cost of a diamond ring, but fail to understand the pricelessness of the love it represents. We admire luxury cars, but forget that a simple ride with a loved one laughing beside us holds more joy than any polished metal. We dream of mansions, but overlook that a small home filled with warmth and care is worth more than a palace filled with emptiness. Real wealth is not in what we own, but in who we have. It is not in how much we accumulate, but in how deeply we connect. Life is short, and yet we live as if it will last forever. We put off time with our families, believing there will always be another chance. We neglect friendships, assuming they will survive without effort. We silence our hearts, too afraid or too busy to express love. But the truth is that one day there will be no more chances, no more tomorrows, no more time left to repair what we neglected. And in that moment, no one wishes for more money, more fame, more recognition. They wish for more moments, more time with those they loved, more laughter, more conversations, more memories. That is the measure of real wealth. There are countless people who seem to have everything the world admires: success, fortune, power, and yet, when you look closely, they were empty. They had a crowd around them, but no one who truly knew them. They had everything money could buy, but nothing their soul needed. And then, there are those who may never make headlines, who may never be known beyond their small circle, yet they are rich beyond measure because they have the love of family, the loyalty of friends, the respect of their community. The difference lies not in what they owned, but in how they lived, in how they treated people, in how they gave and received love. If you want to know your true wealth, do not look at your possessions, look at your relationships. Do not count your money, count the people who would be there for you when you have nothing left to give. Do not measure your worth by your achievements. Measure it by the kindness you have shown, the lives you have touched, the memories you have created. That is a wealth no economic crisis can take, no thief can steal, no time can erase. Too often, we live as if accumulation is the purpose of life. We chase numbers in accounts, likes on screens, titles on doors. But when was the last time you paused to ask yourself why? What good is wealth if there is no one to share it with? What good is recognition if there is no one to hug you at the end of the day and say, "I'm proud of you"? What good is fame if the people who truly love you cannot even reach you because you are too busy for them? We are taught to climb ladders, but few remind us that the view from the top means nothing if you stand there alone. The truth about life's real wealth is that it is built quietly, in everyday moments. It is in the phone call you make to check on someone, in the time you spend listening, in the forgiveness you offer, in the love you express without condition. It is in the meal you share, the laughter you create, the memories you protect. These things may not make headlines, but they are the foundation of a life well lived. You may forget the awards you once received, but you will never forget the hand you held in a hospital room, the child who hugged you after a long day, the friend who showed up when you least expected it. These are the riches that last. Think of the most powerful moments in your own life. Were they times when you achieved something spectacular, or were they times when you felt deeply connected to another human being? Chances are, it is the latter. A victory is sweet, but it is made sweeter when shared with those you love. An achievement is meaningful, but it is multiplied when you celebrate it with people who genuinely care. Without them, even the greatest triumph feels hollow. Real wealth is not in standing above others, but in standing with others. There is also a responsibility that comes with understanding this truth. If real wealth is in relationships, then we must invest in them. Just as financial wealth requires effort, saving, and nurturing, so too does emotional wealth. We cannot expect to have deep, meaningful relationships if we do not pour into them. We cannot expect loyalty if we do not show it, or love if we do not give it, or support if we do not offer it. To be rich in life's true wealth is not passive, it is active. It requires choosing people over pride, presence over distraction, kindness over convenience. The paradox of life is that when we give love freely, when we give care generously, when we give time unselfishly, we do not become poorer, we become richer. The more we give, the more we receive. The more we care, the more we are cared for. The more we love, the more love we discover flowing back to us in ways we never imagined. This is the kind of wealth that grows not by holding on, but by letting go, not by hoarding, but by sharing. There are people who will tell you that success is measured by the size of your house, the brand of your clothes, the number in your account, but none of these things will matter when you are gone. No one will read your bank statements at your funeral. No one will list your possessions as your legacy. What people will remember is how you made them feel, how you treated them, how you touched their lives. That is your true wealth. That is the wealth that lives on long after your name is forgotten by the world. We are all writing stories every day, and the pages are filled not with what we owned, but with who we loved, how we cared, what we gave. That is why it is said that wealth is not measured in years lived, but in lives touched. To live a long life without love is to live poor. To live even a short life filled with love, kindness, and connection is to die rich beyond measure. So the next time you are tempted to measure your worth by what the world praises, remember that the world's measure is shallow. Real wealth is deeper. It is in the sacrifices made for family, in the loyalty kept for friends, in the compassion shown to strangers. It is in the ability to love when it is hard, to forgive when it hurts, to stay when it is easier to leave. These are the riches that build legacies, that outlast lifetimes, that create ripples across generations. There is a quiet joy that comes from living this way, a peace that no amount of money can buy. It is the peace of knowing that you are loved for who you are, not for what you have. It is the security of knowing that when you fall, someone will catch you. It is the comfort of knowing that you are not alone in this world. That is real wealth, and when you finally understand this, you will see that everything else, the money, the fame, the recognition, is only decoration. The true treasure has been with you all along, in the hearts of the people who care for you, in the love you give and receive, in the memories you create together. That is what makes life worth living.